he make big plays or does he turn it over? You have to trust that Matthew Stafford, who's been in these situations, already won a chip, he can handle it. The moment's not too big. And last year, it's one of those things where, you saw Sam Darnold with Minnesota in that moment on the road in the playoffs, and you're like, I am very curious to see how he handles this moment. But this Seahawks defense is good. And I'm just telling you right now, I expect this game to be one of the most exciting games of the weekend. But it's hard for me to pick against the Rams, but I'm going to. I think Seattle, speaking of proving games, they're going to go on the road today, and this is a big prove-it spot that, hey, we know the Rams have been playing well. They might have the best quarterback in the league, and Stafford, he may be the MVP, but we are the better team right now. This is going to be a very entertaining game. And then you add on to that, by the way, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think he went 20th overall in the draft. And he, right now, he's the best wide receiver in the league. You add Puka Nacua to that. You add both of these, a defensive head coach in McDonald and an offensive genius in Sean McVay. This has all the makings to be really entertaining and really fun. So can't wait for that game in the 4 o'clock hour, or in the 4 o'clock window, should I say. But go ahead and give me the Seahawks on the road to cover that game. That's where I'm going. I want to talk Bills and Bucks before we get out of here. It's Carl Dukes, Infinity Sports Network. Put them up. Talking about all the intriguing games around the NFL here. This one is really interesting. 1 o'clock window, Bucks at Bills. This is a 6-point game for Buffalo at home. They are favored by 6. And when I think about Baker Mayfield and the season he's had, he's done this for the most part without all of the pieces, right? That's what's made this really interesting and amazing for Baker Mayfield. He's not had his number one receiver the entire time in Mike Evans. There have been guys on that offensive line have been hurt. I mean, there have been a variety of reasons why you could say Tampa shouldn't be 6-3, but they are. But so is Buffalo. And I think this game opened up at maybe 5.5. I'm looking at it now at 6. Big spot right here for the Buccaneers to go on the road and beat the Bills. Is Ibuka back today? I think he is. I think he's out there because he caught last week. I think it was 6 passes for 115 yards and a touchdown. He's out there. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin sidelined. This is what I'm talking about with the number one option for Baker Mayfield. I think James Cook has to be a monster part in this game plan for the Bills today. Bills Mafia! He's got to be a monster part in this game plan today. And it's going to be Josh Allen versus this Buccaneers pass rush. Josh Allen has struggled under pressure this season, especially when his receivers have difficulty getting open downfield. I want to pick the Bills at home because that's just where I'm at right now, and I'm going to do that. But I'm going to be surprised if the Bucs find a way to get this done. I'm just not. Cannot wait today for all of these intriguing games. Bengals at Steelers, too. It's a rematch of the Unk Bowl that I was talking about a month ago with Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. This time it's in Pittsburgh. Can't wait for that one either. That one is going to be a good one. Lots of good football to look forward to. We got to get to one last thing. Before we get to Zach Gelb and Sunday Morning Football, I want to give a big shout-out and thanks to everybody out there checking us out. More importantly, big shout-out to Ray Jarvis producing the show, AP as well on the updates, and all the phone calls today. Great stuff, man, with all the calls today as well. I don't know where this college football season goes as far as like how it's going to shake out, but I'm just excited to see it. After yesterday, it's just more proof that anything can happen. And the College Football Playoff Committee, this is where we find out a lot about how they're thinking about teams. Whether it's wins, good losses, good wins, bad losses, however you want to shake this thing out. We're about to find out a lot more when the rankings come out on Tuesday. Hey, as we wrap the show up, I just want to say, again, there's no reason ever for a police officer to be pushing a player who's playing in a game in a tunnel as he's trying to make his way back to the field. This is what took place yesterday at Texas A&M, and I talked about it earlier. It was disappointing to see. They said that they had taken the officer off of duty. I don't know what happens down the road. I just hope it doesn't happen again. Hey, thanks for being here. Stay tuned. Zach Gelb's coming up. We'll talk to you next week, everybody. Put 'em up!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Biggest plays the day before in college football.
Jeanty, his first touch. And typical Ashton Jeanty. Look at him go! You can't bring him down!
To getting you ready for all the mayhem that comes your way every NFL Sunday.
It's intercepted at the 40. It picked off by DeGene, who comes to the near side, the 30. Got a block at the 20, breaks a tackle, the 10, the 5, to the pylon. Touchdown!
This is Sunday Morning Football. And here is your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place where you're not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is another edition of Sunday Morning Football. I'm your host, Zach Gelb. We'll take you all the way up until noon Eastern time when Gridiron Game Day does come your way. We got a whole lot to do on a very busy football Sunday. Also, the day after what was a crazy Saturday in college football. If you're new to the program, welcome. Where the heck have you been? If you're a returning customer, thanks so much. You know the dealio by now. As you're listening to us across all great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, and also streaming live on YouTube. You can always interact with the show by calling us at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, or you can get at me on the good old cesspool of Twitter or on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, at Zach Gelb, that's ZACHGELB, or follow us on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. But if you're new to the program, you know how this works, or you will now know how this works. Where the first hour is all things college football, and then once we do get to 11 a.m. here on the East Coast, we go all things NFL, and we're fortunate to be here, obviously, for the next 2 hours. Let me start with the college. You never know what you're going to get in a college football Saturday. And I'm sitting there during the noon Eastern time games, and I'm seeing USF getting blown out by Navy. And then I see Texas A&M getting blown out by South Carolina. Now, for Navy, that game got really tight. They still were able to hold on, and they were still able to beat who were the G5 representative in the last installment of the college football playoff in USF. Obviously, when you do have the next installment that comes out on, I believe, Tuesday, USF will no longer be one of those 12 teams that make the bracket for the college football playoff. But you look at what transpired between A&M and South Carolina. We've seen some crazy comebacks. You know, I've obviously been fortunate to be in the building when the Patriots came back from down 28-3. But when you're a team like A&M and you haven't lost yet, and it's this late in the season, and you're down at halftime by 27 points and it's 30-3, I know that South Carolina's having a miserable season. I'm a fan of Shane Beamer. But this has been one brutal season for the Gamecocks of South Carolina, where Lenore Sellers is supposed to be a top 10 pick of the draft, the Heisman Trophy finalist. South Carolina is supposed to be the 12 teams before the season started that could make the college football playoff. We've had a lot of disappointments in college football this year. Clemson's been a disappointment. Penn State's been a disappointment. LSU has been a disappointment. South Carolina has also been a disappointment. And I'm sitting here, and I'm watching the game, and when I see that it's 30-3, and Shane Beamer is running off the field at halftime celebrating, no one's thinking A&M's coming on back. Now, could A&M maybe make it a game? Could maybe A&M show some second-half fight? But if you're A&M in a 12-team format, you lose yesterday, you're still going to the college football playoff, where this late in the season and what you accomplish and the fact that that's your first loss, you're just 2 losses or fewer in the SEC. You're not going to be held out of the dance. And you really have one game after this one left on your schedule because you play Samford, which is Cupcake U, and then you play Texas. And we'll get to Texas later. Man, Arch Manning continues to look lost. But you're A&M, it would have been easy at halftime to just say, all righty, pack it in. That's it. Not our day. Not our afternoon. There's no chance that we're coming on back in this one. And since 2004, teams in SEC play, they were 0-286 entering yesterday when trailing by 27 points. Think about that. 0-286 since 2004 in SEC play when a team was trailing by 27 points. Now you can put a 1 in that 0 for column. Because A&M not only made it a game, A&M with Marcel Reed, who, let's be real, the tale of two halves. I'm a big Marcel Reed fan. I said like 6 weeks in, A&M, they're probably going to be undefeated. And I look at A&M, and we had Marcel Reed on the show. The craziest part is he don't even love football. He loves basketball more than football. He told me that in a conversation on the air. He goes, I just so happen to be great at football. I love basketball more. He's just like a cool dude. He has a cool vibe where he's confident, but he's not arrogant. And he's just like calm, and he seems like a regular dude. But sometimes you need that in your quarterback. Sometimes you need that silent killer because you don't get too high, but you also don't get too low. And Marcel Reed was god-awful in the first half. And then the second half, he came alive. Second half, right, the devil was alive. And it was unbelievable what Marcel Reed did in that second half. And Marcel Reed probably should get more Heisman play. We'll get into Ty Simpson later. Bad game yesterday. Mendoza, obviously the front runner to win the Heisman Trophy right now. Jeremiah Smith banged up. If Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship game, if they're in there, which you probably think they will be, Julian Sands going to get a lot of play. Rodriguez, right? The Texas Tech linebacker is unbelievable, and they actually put him in a quarterback yesterday, and he had a touchdown. They're names for the Heisman Trophy. Jeremiah Love, we'll get to him. But you look at Marcel Reed, can we put him more in the mix? Because yesterday, 439 yards. Just passing. And he had 3 passing touchdowns, and he led an epic 27-point comeback. Once again, the stat is unbelievable. Since 2004, teams at SEC play were 0-286 when trailing by 27-plus points. A&M was down 30-3. And they came on back and they won the game 31-30. Let's hear how it sounded. This is Marcel Reed. This is how it got going. Here was a 27-yard touchdown pass to Isaiah Williams. This did cut the deficit to 30-10. This is the Aggies Radio Network.
Play action fake. Marcel rolls to the right, has time. He wants Williams. Got him! Touchdown, Aggies! How about Isaiah Williams?
Just a go route, and Marcel drilled him in the end zone.
And then also, you've had the emergence of Ashton Bethel Roman, the freshman, who's really starting to come on as of late. And it's back-to-back games where he's had a touchdown. You know, earlier in the year when we talked about A&M, it was all about Casey Concepcion, who transferred in. It was all about Mario Craver as well. They got a third guy in the mix. And that's how Ashton Bethel Roman. Here was a 39-yard touchdown pass, Marcel Reed to Ashton Bethel Roman. This cut the deficit from 30-10 in this 27-point comeback where it was 30-3 to 30-17. Once again, the Aggies Radio Network.
Very tight formation just off the line. Stacked receivers on the right. Single receiver left. Now in motion from right to left goes Concepcion. Marcel in the pocket. Marcel going down the middle. He's got somebody. He better believe it. It's Ashton Bethel Roman. He takes it in. 39-yard touchdown pass. Touchdown, Aggies.
And that was 2 touchdown passes. Let's hear the third touchdown pass. This took it from 30-3, 30-10, 30-17. This one all the way from 30-24.
After the 76-yard completion to Ashton Bethel Roman. 2 tight ends on the left side of the line. Marcel faked a run. Slant. Caught! Burkitzer touchdown! Aggies! 3 for 3 in touchdown drives here in the third quarter.
And Nate, coming over from Nebraska, had the big moment up against Notre Dame. He made that 30-24. And then E.J. Smith said, I'll find the end zone. This is going to give the Aggies the lead.
Run to the right side, run into the end zone. Touchdown, Aggies. We are tied. E.J. Smith.
And then finally, A&M had to make a 4th down stop to complete the comeback. They could taste the victory. They got it.
From the 25, arrow formation to the left for South Carolina. 4th and 16. Here comes Brooks. Sellers steps up and runs to the right. Ball game! What a comeback by A&M!
And then let's hear from Mike Elko, the head football coach at A&M, who, by the way, signed an extension on Saturday to remain in Aggie land. So all those delusional Penn State fans that thought they were getting Mike Elko, not so much. Here is Mike Elko in the fight his guys showed that 27-point comeback.
Wow. Don't really know where else to start. Credit to our guys, credit for how they stuck to it, credit with how they rallied, credit with how they came together. Thought they did a really, really good job of staying positive and keep fighting to the next play.
No doubt about that. So what a day for A&M. They'll win their next 2 games in all likelihood up against Samford and then also Texas. Could they maybe lose the Texas game? I guess it's possible. I wouldn't expect it. And A&M should be undefeated going into that SEC championship game, but they are 10-0. Mike Elko has done an unbelievable job there. Remember, he was the defensive coordinator for years, then left for a little bit to go to be the head football coach at Duke. A&M gets rid of Jimbo Fisher. All this talk of who they were going to hire next, and they ended up going back to a familiar name in Mike Elko, and now he's utilizing all the resources, and he is taking that program to the next level as they are definitely in the hunt for the national championship. And I know you could say, oh, well, a game like yesterday, yeah, sure, they come back. It's unbelievable. It's sensational. Maybe that's going to show you some signs that they're not as good as what their record says they are. Well, they are undefeated at this point. They are arguably one of the more well-rounded teams in the country. The defense led by Mike Elko is really good. You got a quarterback who's a stud. You got a running game where whoever you put in, doesn't matter if the back is hurt or not, they're able to get production on the ground. And then you got 3 really good wide receivers when everybody is healthy. So A&M is going to be one tough out. And even if you think you have them on the ropes and you're about to knock them out, where it looked like South Carolina knocked them out in the first half, they have the heart of a champion, and they find a way to not only get back in the game, but then take all your money and make you look silly. All righty, let's get to Alabama. I'm not that down on Alabama yesterday, as I think more people will be nationally. Alabama got smothered in week 1 up against Florida State. It was embarrassing. It was putrid. It was a lethargic and really an insipid performance by Alabama up against Florida State in week 1. Since then, forget about beating Cupcake U, Louisiana Monroe. Forget about beating another Cupcake U these days in Wisconsin. They stink, by the way, the Badgers. Then after that, think about the run that Alabama just went on. They beat Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt, 5-16 in the country at the time. Then they beat Missouri, 14th in the country. Then they beat Tennessee, 11th in the country. Then they beat South Carolina. Then they beat LSU. So Alabama was sitting there at 8-1, just coming off an 8-game win streak to save their season. They have Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn. And I know, right, the Iron Bowl, anything could happen. If Alabama doesn't beat Eastern Illinois and Auburn, I'll be stunned. I really would. But there's a lot of national praise for Alabama, a lot of national praise and Heisman hype for Ty Simpson. And let's be real. It's not like I walked away from that game yesterday saying, oh my goodness gracious, I'm blown away by this Oklahoma team. Give them credit, because Venables' team was on the ropes. One more loss, they would have been out of the college football playoff mix. So Oklahoma extends their season. Oklahoma now makes you say, okay, I don't think the Sooners are a great team, but you got Missouri and LSU the rest of the way. You beat Missouri, you beat LSU, and you're 10-2. You're right there to make the college football playoff. Right? Like you could be the Tennessee of last year, where we looked at Tennessee, and no one actually thought Tennessee was great, but they had a spot in the 12-team college football playoff format because of what they were able to do in SEC play. And I get it. One of Oklahoma's losses when a game where Mateer should not have played, and he got back way too early going up against Texas. They lost the game to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is one of the better teams in the country. But anything short of beating Missouri and LSU would be significantly disappointing at this rate if you're a fan of the Oklahoma Sooners. But I don't walk away yesterday and say, oh, Oklahoma is this great team. Oklahoma is this unbeatable force. But I give Brent Venables credit, right? Because year one, not so good. Year two, strong. Year three, not so good. This needed to be a really successful season for them. And I wasn't believing in what Brent Venables was selling. I wasn't. But now they're sitting there, and they just got a statement victory up against Alabama. So I don't want to lose sight of that. Because the majority of people are going to talk about this game. They're going to take it from the side of Alabama this, Alabama that. Let's give Oklahoma, even though it sounds like we're giving a backhanded compliment, let's give them some credit first. But with that being said, I'm not that down on Alabama as everybody else is going to be on this one. Like, folks, if Alabama wins out, and that's beating Eastern Illinois and Auburn, I don't care if they're in the SEC championship game or not. And if they're in the SEC championship game, I don't care if Alabama loses the SEC championship game by 40. They'll make the college football playoff if they're in the SEC championship game, win or lose. But even if they don't make the SEC championship game, and we'll see how all this plays out, and they just beat Eastern Illinois and Auburn, like, do you think a 10-2 Alabama team is not making the college football playoff? When we now have a different criteria in how the committee, which is still very subjective, but how the committee is supposed to judge this thing, it's by strength of schedule. So you're telling me in a year in SEC play, when the committee now is looking to put more SEC teams in, you're telling me in a year where Alabama's beat Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, and let's say they beat Auburn, you're telling me they'll go 7-1 in all likelihood in conference play, and they're not going to make the college football playoff? Like a buddy of mine, he has this delusion. And he's a delusional Penn State fan. He texted me this morning, oh, Kalen DeBoer, he could leave Alabama to go to Penn State. I go, what planet do you live on? I go, if Alabama somehow misses the college football playoff, maybe it's on the table. But I go, do you think they're going to beat Eastern Illinois? He goes, yes. I said, do you think Alabama's going to beat Auburn? He goes, yes. So I said, how are you going to have a 10-2 Alabama not in the college football playoff? Like, what world are you living in? But you look at Alabama yesterday, that performance probably cost Ty Simpson the Heisman Trophy. He'll probably be a finalist still, but unless if he ends up winning the next two games and goes on and has a monster SEC championship game, he probably won't win the Heisman Trophy anymore. Now, could Mendoza lose in the Big Ten championship game? Could people maybe say, I don't want to give it to Julian Sanchez, could still win it? Like, I guess that's possible. But yesterday, he turned the ball over too much. And that was the difference in the game. Ty Simpson did not, who has made all these plays in this stretch for Alabama, he wasn't good enough yesterday. And that's what cost them. Let's hear the Eli Bowen pick six. This gave Oklahoma a 10-0 lead right out of the gate. This was the Sooners Radio Network.
Man in motion is Hill. There's the snap. Quick throw across the middle. Intercepted. Eli Bowen's got it 20. On the return 30. Only one man to beat. He's at midfield. It's a race. There goes Bowen. 30. Cuts near side. Still on his feet. 20. At the 10. They're not going to get him. Pick six. They did it to him again. Pick six. This time Eli Bowen. Touchdown Sooners.
And then let's hear Ty Simpson, the quarterback at Alabama. He makes it clear the team made too many mistakes in this one.
We just shot ourselves in the foot. Credit to Oklahoma, Coach Venables. They had a good scheme. They did a good job, and they played their tails off. But there's about 10 plays that wish we could add back. I feel like the outcome would be different.
And then let's hear from Brent Venables. He says his team deserved the win.
They've worked really hard for it. So again, I'm not a boastful or braggadocious kind of guy, but man, I'm going to brag on our guys, and they deserve it. It's a hard fought. They've put a lot into, this opportunity, and we've created vision for that. So I got to follow through.
I don't know. Something about Brent Venables' voice these days. You give me a raspy voice from a football coach, makes me start to believe in you a little bit more. Maybe that's just me. All righty, Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. You know, Oklahoma fans, will give you one more. Let's hear the fourth down stop to clinch the win. This was on the Sooners Radio Network.
Into the backfield now, he brings Hill. Under a minute. 4th and 6. Snap. Simpson looks left. Throws out to the left. It's broken up. Incomplete. Peyton Bowen knocked it down. Peyton Bowen knocked it down. Alabama's got an Oklahoma problem.
So there you go. Alabama does have an Oklahoma problem yesterday as the Sooners get a huge win for Brent Venables. We'll take a break. Looks like Notre Dame is doing it again. Also, Arch Manning had a moment, and he did not deliver. He had that opportunity to turn people's opinion around, and it was not successful yesterday as Texas falls in a big spot up against Georgia and gets blown out. We'll continue this Sunday Morning Football. I'm Zach Gelb.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
From the biggest plays the day before in college football to getting you ready for all the mayhem that comes your way every NFL Sunday. You're listening to Sunday Morning Football with Zach Gelb.
You know, I went into yesterday for college football, and I was curious about two teams. The two teams I was most curious about were Oklahoma and Texas. I said to myself, can Oklahoma find a way to deliver a statement victory up against Alabama? As we said in the open, they did. Then I looked at Texas. And the way that I said it about Texas is Arch Manning has two more opportunities to try to alter the narrative that is around Arch Manning right now. And that narrative is one of disappointment. It's a narrative where he's not meeting the hype. And let's be real, this has been a really disappointing season. And Arch Manning has been one of, if not the biggest, disappointment in college football this year. And trust me, there's a ton. Lenore Sellers in South Carolina, disappointment. I know he got hurt, but before that, Drew Aller at Penn State, disappointment. Cade Klubnik at Clemson, disappointment. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, disappointment. There's been a lot of disappointing storylines in college football this year, especially from the quarterback position. But where the hype was with Arch Manning, to what we saw in week one up against Ohio State, what we saw up against Florida where they lost, and really the best win for Texas this year is either Oklahoma or Vanderbilt. Like, people were praising Arch Manning for coming on back against Mississippi State. Like, that's how low it was for Arch Manning. But you look at this schedule, and you see 3 games remaining going into yesterday: Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M. Forget the Arkansas game. That doesn't shape, that doesn't alter, that doesn't change the national opinion of Arch Manning. But I've been saying this now for the better part of the last month. Arch Manning, in the final month of the college football season, he needs to find a way to put lipstick on a pig. That's what he needs to do. And he had 2 golden opportunities, still has 1 left. And up against Georgia yet last night, he failed to really change that opinion. Now, can he end the season on a good note in 2 weeks up against A&M? And can you pull off the upset against A&M? And can you maybe make people be optimistic about you heading into another year of Texas football? Because Arch Manning's not going to the draft. Arch Manning's not hitting the transfer portal. Like, Arch Manning is going to be back at Texas next year. But is there going to be a reason to believe that Arch, his second true year starting, is going to be what we were told he was? And yesterday up against Georgia, he looked lost. Right? That game was there for the taking early. Still at halftime, it was only 14-3, and then Georgia really put it on them in the fourth quarter. But Arch Manning just doesn't look ready for the moment. And up against the elite competition, this dude fails. His stat line yesterday was extremely pedestrian. When you see it was 27-43 for 251 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. This guy's supposed to be special. And I haven't seen that it factor. I haven't seen him pop off. I haven't seen him up against a great opponent be what we anticipated from Arch Manning before the start of the season. And I was at the UFC fight last night at Madison Square Garden, but I had the game on. And I'm sitting in my seat. I'm watching the fights. I got the game on, watching college football. And there were so many shots in the fourth quarter where Arch was just on the sideline, and you could tell it's eating him alive. Right? He's sitting there on the sidelines. His hands are on his head. He looks just as if he doesn't know what's happening. and he looks lost. He's clearly frustrated. And I thought about it from a human element. I really did. Think about this guy. I know we look at athletes and, we don't have a lot of sympathy. And it's like, okay, we glorify athletes, they're heroes, all that stuff, right? Like, that's what we do. And we never really think about the mental component of it if we were just talking about it the way that we would for a normal human being. But think about the lineage from his grandfather to his uncles, right? The way that we talked about Arch Manning, he'll be ready for the moment. Whenever his moment comes, this is all strategic, right? This is all calculated by the Manning family. They're good that he sat for the first year at Texas. They're good that Quinn Ewers actually stuck around and stayed at Texas, and he had some success. They went to the college football playoff back-to-back years. They won the final year of them being in the Big 12 Conference Championship. First year in the SEC, right? They're in the SEC title game, and then Texas, right, during the college football playoff, they make it to the Final Four. Like, that's good that Arch was sitting. Sure, he got a few spot starts when Quinn Ewers got hurt. Yeah, they put him in for some running packages, things like that. He has the wheels, right? We looked at Arch Manning as if with his family history and then also him sitting for 2 years and having such a great education of the game, the one thing everyone agreed, whether you thought he was going to be sensational, whether you thought he was going to be transcendent or not, whether you thought he was going to be great or not, no one ever questioned if this kid would be ready or not for the moment. No one did. Everyone said Arch Manning, I don't know if he's going to be great, but he'll be ready for the moment. And he's just not ready for the moment. And I'm looking at this in the fourth quarter yesterday, in the final few minutes of the game, where they panned him on the sideline, and he's frustrated, he's sad. I just don't think he has the answers. I really don't. And right now, it's got to just be eating him alive. Because think about the pressure that we put on this kid. And I'm not saying we're wrong to put the pressure on the kid. But I asked this question before the start of the season. I said, I'm a believer in Arch Manning, but can he meet our expectations? We were having legitimate conversations before the season started, and I called it stupid then. That this guy was getting put in a situation where I don't know if he could succeed. Like the bar for Arch Manning that we were talking about before the start of the season, people said if he was a Heisman Trophy finalist and doesn't win the award, then you better win the national championship or this year's going to be viewed as a disappointment. And we're sitting here now, Texas is 7-3. Can Texas win out? And can they maybe force Texas, a 9-3 SEC team, in the college football playoff? I'm not going to rule it out. But a lot of hell would have to break loose. And also, we've watched Texas this year. Does Texas look like a college football playoff team? Absolutely not. They don't. And it's not all on the quarterback. Right? Texas has lost a lot of talent, but they're still Texas. But this quarterback, in the bizarre twist of this season, the thing that did him in is he just simply wasn't ready for the moment. I don't think he was ready to handle all this national attention, which I'm shocked by. Really shocked by that part, the latter part of what I just said. Because the last 2 years, even though he's been out of the spotlight on the field, he's been a megastar off the field. And he's always handled himself and conducted himself the right way. And I really think what's going to do Arch Manning in, and maybe he could turn around next year, maybe the more experience, he gets more comfortable and all that stuff. But I think this stuff is more mental right now than physical. And early in the season, we were talking about him having the yips. Earlier in the season, we were talking about him seeing ghosts. But there was just that blank stare that he had on the sideline where I've never thought about it this way. The pressure that we put on him, he may not just be able to withstand those expectations. And when you're not living up to the hype and you're one of the most hyped quarterbacks that we've ever seen and you're failing, that could really mess with you mentally. And I think a lot of this stuff is more mental than physical. Like, is he the most physically gifted quarterback I've ever seen? No, absolutely not. But I think more of his struggles are more mental than they are physical. And yesterday, Georgia, right, They beat them 35-10. And you know what? Georgia, can we stop questioning Georgia? We did this last year. We said, oh, Georgia's vulnerable. They won the SEC. I know they lost to Notre Dame in the college football playoff coming off the bye. But this year, Georgia was vulnerable too. They had to come on back up against Tennessee and Joey Aguilar. You know, they lost when they had many opportunities to beat Alabama. They lost by 3. It wasn't pretty and clean up against Auburn. They had to come on back in miraculous fashion. That was when I was most impressed by them after beating Ole Miss, because Ole Miss was beating them pretty good. All right, it wasn't pretty up against Florida. Got some help by the officials. Yesterday, they didn't even play a great game, and they still dominated Texas 35-10. And Georgia, the rest of the way, they play Charlotte and Georgia Tech. And I don't love what I'm seeing from Georgia Tech. So Georgia's probably going to finish this year in the regular season being 11-1. And I don't know if Georgia's going to win the national championship this year. I don't. But I wouldn't want to play Georgia in the playoff, because you better be at your best to take them out. Because even not this dominant version of Georgia, they're still going to be 11-1 this year. Let's hear from Gunnar Stockton. This was his 30-yard touchdown pass to London Humphreys. This was on the Bulldogs Radio Network.
Out of the shotgun, snap it back to Gunnar, fakes the pitch, stands in the pocket, throws wide open. Humphreys caught at the 8, into the end zone, touchdown London Humphreys.
And then also, let's hear from Steve Sarkisian. He makes it clear that his team fell apart in the fourth quarter up against Georgia.
That was a really good game until the start of the fourth quarter. It was 14-10. They get the ball. They convert 2 fourth downs. They score. They onside kick. They score again. They pop a kickoff down there. We get pinned inside the 10. Shake a punt. They score again. It was 21-0 in the fourth quarter.
All righty, Zach Gelb here with you, Sunday Morning Football. We will take a break. This portion of the show has been brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with a medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. When we come on back, we will talk about Notre Dame, as it looks like they're going to be off to the college football playoff for a second year in a row. We'll tell you more about that on the other side. And we will get into the future of Lane Kiffin, and also where it looks like James Franklin's next stop will be. Update time first. Here is Tony Pierno.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Early morning NFL action from Spain. It's been all field goals thus far. The Dolphins lead the Commanders 6-3 with 4:27 remaining in the second quarter. Marcus Mariota 8 of 10 for 67 yards passing, while Tua 7 of 8 for 64 yards. In other news, the Broncos have placed running back J.K. Dobbins on injured reserve. Last night in Columbus, top-ranked Ohio State was looking to remain perfect against UCLA.
Handoff goes Peoples. Runner on the right side, he goes to the Bruin 15. Peoples to the 10, hurdles the defender to the 5, and takes it in the end zone for a 19-yard touchdown run by Brandon Peoples, who just leaped over a defender to get into the end zone for the first time this season. James Peoples.
That was the first of 2 rushing touchdowns for Peoples. The Buckeyes finished with 222 yards on the ground as they walloped the Bruins 48-10. Paul Keels had the call from Learfield. Ohio State now 10-0 on the season. Elsewhere, number 2 Indiana topped Wisconsin 31-7. Fernando Mendoza threw 4 touchdown passes. Texas A&M beat South Carolina 31-30. Oklahoma took down Alabama 23-21, while Georgia defeated Texas 35-10. Gunnar Stockton accounted for 5 touchdowns on the night.
I mean, it was a great game. It was a great atmosphere. Something you definitely dream of, and I was just glad we came out on top.
Ole Miss knocked off Florida 34-24. Texas Tech upended UCF 48-9. Notre Dame erased Pitt 37-15. USC rallied to defeat Iowa 26-21. Virginia handled Duke 34-17. NBA, the Nuggets stayed hot as they topped the Wolves 123-112. Nikola Jokic with another triple-double, 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. The Lakers over the Bucks 119-95. Luka dropped 41 points, and the Thunder beat the Hornets 109-96. Oklahoma City now 13-1 on the season. Men's college hoops, UConn beat BYU 86-84. On the ice, the Wild blanked the Ducks 2-0. Anaheim has lost 3 straight. I'm Tony Pierno.
Hey, sports fans, Zach Gelb here on the Infinity Sports Network. Check us out 24/7 on your local affiliate or on the Odyssey app. Download it today.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
From the biggest plays the day before in college football to getting you ready for all the mayhem that comes your way every NFL Sunday. You're listening to Sunday Morning Football with Zach Gelb.
Notre Dame got the job done yesterday. They smashed Pittsburgh at Pitt by a score of 37-15. Jeremiah Love is on some run this season. It's still mind-boggling to me how in the first week of the season, their first game of the season up against Miami, how they only gave him the rock 10 times. That made absolutely positively no sense to me. I thought it was the biggest reason why Miami ended up winning that game up against Notre Dame, and I thought it was football malpractice with them not giving the ball to Jeremiah Love more in that game. But with that being said, you take a glance at what did transpire with Notre Dame the rest of the year. As we are streaming live on YouTube, by the way, today, Infinity Sports Network, Sirius XM Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app. But you look at Notre Dame and what did transpire the rest of the year. Like last year, they lost to Northern Illinois, and then they had to win out. This year, they're down 0-2 right out of the gate to big boy programs in Miami and A&M. Since then, they haven't lost. Now, have they played these great teams? No. They beat Purdue. They beat Arkansas. They beat Boise State. They beat North Carolina State. They beat USC, right, who was in the top 25. And they will remain in the top 25. They beat BC. They beat Navy. And they beat Pitt, who was 22nd. But this running back in Jeremiah Love, and I was a huge fan of his last year. What he's been able to do this year is really special. 1,135 yards, 14 rushing touchdowns, also has 3 receiving touchdowns. And yesterday, 23 carries for $147, a touchdown, 56 yards to the house, and also had 2 receptions for 20 yards too. If they didn't lose the first 2 games of the season, you could make a case that Jeremiah Love could be your Heisman Trophy candidate and your winner this year. And I get it, last year, it feels rotten that Ashton Jeanty didn't win the award. And you're saying, well, Zach, Genty's numbers were a lot better than Love, so why would you say that Love could win? It's all the timing. Like, who are your Heisman Trophy candidates this year? Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sayin. If you want to say Rodriguez, he's not going to win it at Texas Tech. Jeremiah Love is right there. But the problem is, when you lose your 2 biggest games of the season to Miami and A&M, and there's not a signature moment since then, even though he's had some incredibly long runs, like that 94-yard run up against BC, it's just not going to be enough for you to win the award. Could he be a Heisman Trophy finalist? Sure. Do I think he's going to win the award? No. But let's listen up. This was the Jeremiah Love 56-yard touchdown run early in the game up against Pitt. This was on the Fighting Irish radio network.
Loves the back, gets the carry, Stunner steps in the hole, now spins across the 50, now he's on the move, over the 40, 30, 20, 10, he's gonna go all the way to the house. It's another highlight reel run for Jeremiah Love, 56-yard touchdown, and it takes your breath away.
All righty, so there it is on the Notre Dame front. They're going to be going to the college football playoff. They'll win their next 2 games. They're going to be 10-2, and if Notre Dame's 10-2 as an independent, they basically get a spot reserved for them, whether you like it or not, in the college football playoff. All righty. Now, moving forward, let's get to Ole Miss. I think there's 2 stories of Ole Miss. One is underrated. The other one has been talked about all year, and it's the future of Lane Kiffin. So Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, going up against Florida. Remember, it happened last year. Now, we knew Billy Napier was going to be back at that point. Ole Miss blew their playoff chance, and they ended up losing that game. Jackson Dart had some crucial fourth-quarter interceptions. This year, they played Florida once again. They had no problem really with Florida yesterday. I know that the game was close at times, but I never actually thought, even when it looked like we had a game, that Florida was going to beat Ole Miss yesterday. So Ole Miss wins 34-24. How about Kewan Lacey? Like, can we give? I know all we talk about is Trinidad Chambliss, and we talk about Lane Kiffin. This guy's having an unbelievable season. So over 1,100 yards. He's closing in on 20 rushing touchdowns, has 19 on the season. Like, why doesn't this guy get play for the Heisman Trophy? Now, I'm not saying he's going to win it, but yesterday he had 224 yards on the ground. 224. Let's hear from Kewan Lacy on the 1-yard touchdown run. This gave Ole Miss the lead, 27-24. As I said, the game was close at times, but I never thought Ole Miss was going to lose. This gave them the lead in the fourth quarter. Here was the Rebels Radio Network.
There's the snap. Lacy keeps it, walks in untouched. The Rebels have regained the lead, 26-24 on the 18th touchdown of the year for Kewan Lacy, and he should get it. He's the one that got us there.
So now it's one of those things where, okay, Ole Miss, Lane has this train rolling. Last year they came up short. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case this year. They're 10-1. They got one game left. It's Friday. It's Mississippi State. They should be able to beat Mississippi State, and Ole Miss should be in the college football playoff. But we're wondering, with all these big jobs that are open and how great of a coach Lane Kiffin is, Florida open, his connections with Steve Spurrier. You also then have LSU open, and that being the best job on the market. What is the Lane train going to do? Is he going to stay in Oxford, Mississippi, where the Lane train is happy, or is he going to go somewhere else? This was Lane Kiffin afterwards when he was asked if he expects to still be at Ole Miss this time next year.
Yeah, I think the last chapter thing makes me feel like I'm like 80 years old, you know? So I don't like being old, so I don't really like that part of the story that makes me feel like I'm on my last chapter. So I love what we're doing here. Today was awesome, and I don't talk about that stuff. And really, to even talk about it right now would be so disrespectful to our players and how well they played today. So, you know, we got a lot of things going here, doing really well, and I love it here.
I truly think this is 50-50. I think this could go either way. If you tell me Lane Kiffin's the next coach at LSU, I wouldn't be shocked. If you tell me Lane Kiffin's the next coach at Florida, I wouldn't be shocked. If you tell me that in 2 weeks from now, he comes on out and he says, I'm not leaving and I'm staying at Ole Miss, wouldn't be shocked by that as well. Nico, what does your gut tell you right now as we sit here on the 16th day of November in the year of 2025? Next year, is Lane Kiffin going to be at Ole Miss?
Even though we've seen a lot of examples where it isn't the case, I still like to believe in loyalty. So I like to think that Lane Kiffin will be staying with the Rebels.
You're such an innocent soul, Nico. You really are. Ray, you heard that answer from Lane Kiffin. I felt a certain type of way before I heard that answer. I'll get into more in just a second. But what does your gut tell you? Is the Lane train staying in Oxford, Mississippi, or is it saying choo-choo and maybe moving to a new destination?
The Lane train is running express out of Mississippi on the way to the swamp that is Gatorville. He could have already signed the extension if he wanted to stay. It's already been triggered after the 7th victory. He's done none of that. He's already tap dancing around answers when asked in the media, I love it here. So sign a piece of paper. It's very easy. But the train is leaving the station.
So going into yesterday, I said to myself, it's starting to feel that Lane's going to stay. Just what it's feeling like. Then I hear that answer afterwards, and I'm saying to myself, ooh, it's now starting to feel like he's gone. That's just the way. And hey, I think it's truly 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised by anything, but I didn't love that answer in spots where it's really tough anyway for any coach to really handle those things the right way. But the believe test, it just didn't pass there for me. Now, real quickly, it looks like James Franklin's going to be the next head football coach at Virginia Tech. I think that's a phenomenal landing spot for him. I've been speculating that for weeks. You go to the ACC where you don't have to win a national championship. We know James Franklin's a good coach. He's not a great coach, though. And when it's championship or bust, he's not capable of doing that. We saw that this year. But if you go to the ACC and you win 8 to 10 games a season, you win an ACC championship here or there, you're going to be a legend at Virginia Tech. I'm a little surprised, though, that it's not going to be Florida State. Like, I thought it was going to be Virginia Tech. But if you're Florida State, you can't get the money yet to get rid of Mike Norvell. It's $50-something million. I get it. But I think James Franklin, if he preferred, would actually prefer to go to Florida State. But clearly all this stuff leaking on out yesterday that they're talking to him in Virginia Tech, and it feels like they're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and then they'll have their announcement. They'll use that to their advantage until they make it official with all the behind-the-scenes stuff. It seems as if he really wanted to go to Florida State. And obviously Florida State's saying, we don't know if we're going to get rid of Mike Norvell. So James Franklin then is going to probably make a move. And at some point this week, I would expect him to be announced as the next head football coach at Virginia Tech.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Biggest plays the day before in college football.
Genty, his first touch. And typical Ashton Genty. Look at him go! You can't bring him down!
To getting you ready for all the mayhem that comes your way every NFL Sunday.
It's intercepted at the 40 and picked off by DeGene, who comes to the near side, the 30. Got a block at the 20, breaks a tackle, the 10, the 5, to the pylon. Touchdown!
This is Sunday Morning Football. And here is your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, things are getting interested in Philadelphia. We'll see how it plays out tonight as the Eagles started this week beating the Green Bay Packers and was what was a boring, very low-scoring game. And Green Bay's got some problems with Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, a year that they're supposed to elevate from being good to great. It just seems like they're good, and I don't really trust this team to win multiple games in the postseason, to be in an NFC championship game, to be in a Super Bowl, or dare I say it, win the Lombardi Trophy, which is the standard in Green Bay. You got Bart Starr. You got Brett Favre. You got Aaron Rodgers. You think of Green Bay Packers quarterbacks in that lineage, Hall of Famers, Super Bowl champions. And for Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, you got to hold yourself to that standard. And when you go out there and you get Micah Parsons this year, you went from being a good team to a team that was expected to be great. And you started off the year in absolutely annihilating the Lions and the Commanders, the 1 seed last year, a team that was also in the NFC Championship game, and you would have thought that this was going to be a special year. But it seems like maybe the Packers get it going the next 2 months of the season. But it seems as if the Green Bay Packers are not going to meet the hype. Now, the Eagles, on the other hand, they win it sloppy. Jalen Hurts stepped up and delivered when he needed to. Saquon Barkley stepped up and delivered to when he needed to. Honestly, I don't get why any team trades with Howie Roseman anymore. Jalen Phillips, what a tremendous acquisition. Vic Fangio knows him for their time together with the Miami Dolphins. Boom, Phillips gets thrown right into the fold, and he's making plays all over the place. But you look at the Eagles now, they start the week with the victory, and now they can end the week with the victory. And they go up against the Detroit Lions team that the Lions, they've also been a team that's been inconsistent. A year where the Lions, they are stabilized, right, with what they've done the last few years. They make the playoffs. They're in the NFC Championship game. They blow it to the 49ers. Last year, they're the number 1 seed. It happens coming off a bye. They got annihilated by the Commanders. We know what the formula is, though, for the Lions. If the Lions are going to make it to the Super Bowl this year, which I think they can, but if they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, I think the formula you need to rely on is Jared Goff is 30 throws or fewer, and the real main focus of the offense is Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. That is could Goff go out there in a divisional round, throw 4 or 5 touchdown passes, and can they go win a game based off his arm? Yes. But if you're expecting to win week in and week out in the postseason with Goff being the filet mignon, I don't think you're going to get that job done. But this Lions game tonight up against the Eagles, it's interesting. I think there's more for the Lions to prove because you're going up against a team that won the Super Bowl last year. You're going up against a team that many people thought it was going to be the NFC Championship game. Lions and Eagles, you stub your toe up against the Commanders, and the next thing you know, the Eagles are dragging the Commanders up and down the field in the NFC Championship game, putting their feet up as they know that they're going to be going to New Orleans and playing in a Super Bowl where they annihilated the Kansas City Chiefs. So this game tonight does feel like it's more of a statement to be made for the Lions. But then A.J. Brown enters the fold. And A.J. Brown's on Twitch earlier in the week. Oh, he's frustrated with this offense. Then he holds court with the Philadelphia media for 10 minutes. And A.J. Brown, he's just not happy right now. And I think A.J. Brown's heart is in the right place. But his emotions aren't always portrayed the right way. And I was there last year in Philly. When they're in a playoff game, they're winning, and he's pounding on the sidelines, and he's reading that book, Inner Excellence. I was there 2 years ago in the playoff game, or maybe it was 3 years ago now. I forget when they're going up against the Giants. They're winning, but he's upset on the sideline. Like, this has now been a multiple-year thing. And 2 years ago, they were 10-1. There were problems. Those problems got exposed. They won one game down the stretch. They were in the playoffs. The Simpson meme, they walked right in, grabbed the hat, walked right out. Last year, though, there were some issues, and they were able to find a way to get through those issues and go on and win a Super Bowl. So I don't know which way this is going to go now. Like the Eagles, I believe they're 7-2. The Eagles are having some similar issues that they've had the last two seasons. 2 years ago, it derailed their season. Last year, they found a way to go win a Super Bowl. So that's why I never thought A.J. Brown, even though how much he's been bitching and complaining, I never thought A.J. Brown was actually going to get dealt at the deadline. Because it worked one year, it didn't work another year. Like, Ray, you were a dean once. If you have a student come into the office, right? And he's like, oh, I did something that didn't work. I did something that did work. Like, even if you maybe are saying, you think that it's going to go more one way the first time than what happened the second time, since they showed you the potential that they could do this right, don't you kind of roll the dice a little bit and say, all right, we have two sample sizes. One worked, one didn't. It's a best of three. Let's see now what happens here in year number 3 of this marriage, right?
Yeah, it depends on how egregious it is. But, yeah, you give them some wiggle room as long as it's not ruining the entire school day.
So here's the thing. A.J. Brown complains on Twitch with his friend, then has to hold court inside the media, the locker room the other day with the media. But here's a story that was just released on ESPN. Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie. This is, I think it's with Sal Paolantonio, yeah. Jeffrey Lurie met with A.J. Brown during practice this week to hash out the star wide receiver's public frustration over his role in Philadelphia's offense, a senior team official told ESPN Sal Paolantonio. Sal Paolantonio, ESPN. The highly unusual move was prompted by Eagle security chief Dom DeSandro. What is Big Dom never involved in? Who waved Brown over to the sideline during Thursday practice to chat with Lurie, the team official told Paolantonio. During the 10-minute meeting, Brown promised Lurie that he would stop complaining on social media, according to the team official, but Brown also told Lurie he just wants to be a part of the offense and is frustrated, the official said. Lurie told Brown that he didn't need to apologize. The pair concluded the meeting with the hug, and the wide receiver returned to practice, according to the team official. Team sources told Paolantonio that it marked the first time any of them could remember DeSandro facilitating a meeting on the field between Lurie and a player. DeSandro has worked for Lurie for 28 years, often attends private dinner meetings between Lurie and players. The practice meeting between Lurie and Brown, which was first reported Thursday by NBC Sport Philadelphia, occurred one day after three-time Pro Bowler, talked about his frustrations with the Eagles offense. Quote, "It's not just solely about my situation. I want to win too," Brown told reporters, close quotes, by the way, on Wednesday. "I think we're really focused on winning and doing our job. We can't just keep slapping a Band-Aid over the defense doing their job and getting us out of trouble. At what point are we going to pick up our slack as an offense? That's what I'm getting at. You can't keep slapping a Band-Aid over and expect to win late in the year and think you're going to go at the end of the year. It's not going to effing happen." On Wednesday morning, video surfaced showing streamer Janky Rondo playing a game of Madden with Brown. At one point, the gamer asked Brown if everything was going well. "I mean, no," Brown responded. "Where have you been? Family is good. Everything else, no. It's a bleep show." Brown told reporters that he was not apologizing for his comments on the video, adding that he was not throwing anybody under the bus, but "I'm literally trying to laugh through this bleep." Eagles coach Nick Sirianni said Wednesday, that he didn't think that Brown's continued voicing of his discontentment was a distraction to the team, and it goes on to give all the stats here. So here you go. A.J. Brown is frustrated. A.J. Brown knows the Eagles are winning, knows they need to use him more, knows the offense has to play better if they want to go where they want to go, and that's to be back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Here's the thing, though. how much longer is the juice going to be worth the squeeze with A.J. Brown? That's my question. And the fact that Jeffrey Lurie and Dom DeSandro had to pull A.J. Brown aside and have a meeting with him, because I don't think Big Dom just walks onto the practice field and goes, hey, A.J., over here. Take this cannoli. And then brings him over to Jeffrey Lurie to have a conversation without Jeffrey Lurie knowing, oh, Big Dom's bringing A.J. Brown over to me. Because that's a calculated move. Like, for example, Ray, if you were just going to, let's say you had a trouble student. I don't know if you're just walking up to the student just out of the kindness of your heart and saying, hey, come to my office. Like, you're going to have a calculated plan if you're going to have that conversation with the student that is asking for help and a student that is kind of maybe acting out to try to get some attention. You're not just going to impromptu walk up to that person and say, hey, we're going to have a meeting with myself, the dean, and then also the principal. No, that would be a calculated decision, correct?
Right. If I wanted to go and have the conversation with little Zach.
Oh, yeah.
We've already.
I was never little, let's be real.
We've already had a meeting amongst admin.
Yes.
We've already decided, and we drew straws and said, you're going to talk to him, and we're going to figure it out. And then we might have to call his parents. Like, we know what's going on in Philadelphia. This is the cliche. This is almost like T.O. light, because he's not willing to go full T.O.
Where's McNabb?
Right, because he's friends with the quarterback. If he didn't like the quarterback, we would get the full T.O. right now. He's doing everything but.
Hold on. He liked the quarterback. When they got there, him and the quarterback, him and Jalen Hurts are best friends. I don't think they like each other anymore.
I don't know. I think it's the offensive coordinator, man.
I don't think it's Kevin Petula because it's really Nick Sirianni's offense, if we're being honest. Let me tell you something. I'll say it this way. Wording is important. It's not, I think he doesn't like the quarterback. I know he doesn't like the quarterback. All right?
Understood.
I think that, like, sometimes, right, you have a good friend. And what do sometimes people say? When maybe you're young and you're single and you're living in the city and you need a roommate. Don't live with your best friend. Sometimes being teammates with a good friend isn't a good thing. And sometimes there's some uncomfortable conversations that need to happen that it may not ruin a friendship, but it alters the close bond that you used to have with someone. And last year, Brandon Graham basically aired all the grievances and said, hey, you two knuckleheads got to get on the same page. And now it's Big Dom, who is the godfather of Philadelphia football. Big Dom, who's got cannolis in his locker. Big Dom knows where the bodies are buried because he's probably buried the bodies. And he's walking over, Big Dom, portly walking across the field. AJ, with me. Here is the boss man, Jeffrey Lurie, right? And he went to the mob boss and Jeffrey Lurie to have a meeting. So guess what's going to happen? In the offseason, A.J. Brown's going to get whacked. He's going to get traded.
Yeah.
He is definitely getting traded this offseason because this has been something that's been leaking for years. And guess what happened last year? They won a Super Bowl. Wonderful problem to have. So everyone gets on the same page. Whip-de-damn-do. And even A.J. Brown said he wasn't really fulfilled by winning the Super Bowl. Like, he got the ring. He thought he was going to be accomplished. And he was like, all right, yeah, so what? Now we go to the next season. A.J. Brown wants to win. There's no doubt about it. But A.J. Brown also wants to have prodigious stats. The Eagles have so many names on their offense. And I get it. The Eagles' offense didn't pop off up against the Packers. The Eagles' offense have had some struggles. But if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I think A.J. Brown has reached his boiling point, and he's reached his apex in Philadelphia, and he's going to say, you know what, guys? I'm good. I want to be out because there's so much signs. And when you get to the point where you're meeting with Big Dom, and Jeffrey Lurie, do you really think that unless you win the Super Bowl this year, that this is going to be one big happy family at the end? And whether you think Jalen Hurts is great or not, he's the highly compensated quarterback. And in this league, you either have a quarterback or you don't. The Eagles have a quarterback that is a Super Bowl MVP and a Super Bowl champion. So guess what happens? The quarterback, who could be a better leader, is going to win out here over, right, the stereotypical complaining diva wide receiver. That's what's going to happen.
So you're
I've seen
saying
this tale.
A.J. Brown's going to be on the boat in Lake Tahoe?
I think A.J. Brown's going to be on the New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel.
Oh, man.
Come on over to the Mayflower. Come on over, A.J. Brown. Here was Devin McCourty. He's doing the game Football Night in America. He joined me earlier in the week. This is what A.J. Brown had to say. This is what Devin McCourty had to say on the A.J. Brown situation, and I think his answer may surprise you. What's your assessment on this whole A.J. Brown situation?
That's one of my biggest question marks coming into the game. Like, I actually liked what A.J. Brown said. Like, I know everyone's like keeping it, like, I get it. But like, this thing has been going on for so long. And again, this is out of my era, right? Like the Twitch stuff and like being on a stream, like that's outside of what I'm used to.
Old man
but
McCourty.
Like, yeah, like I thought what he said on there was like, he's with his friend. His guard's down a little bit. If you want to get mad at him for having his guard down, like that's whatever. But like what he said wasn't brand new. Like the team scored 10 points last week. Like, their offense has been up and down. And I think if you ask, an exec on all 32 teams, hey, which roster do you look at and you say offensively, that's a hell of a roster. Like the Eagles are going to be at the top of everybody's list. So when you see the numbers that they put up, how inconsistent they've been, I think AJ is speaking to where we want to be is back in the Super Bowl. What we're doing, we can fool ourselves and act like it's going to be okay. But what we're doing, if we get in one game, possibly Sunday against Detroit, and it turns into our defense gives up 21 points, we don't want to be sitting there saying, oh man, 13, like that's our goal. We got to get like, and I think what he's saying is real. And when you turn on the film, and I know everybody's different. Like I've heard people talk about like coverages being pushed to him. You can see Devontae Smith's having more success, but like Devontae Smith's not having like this unbelievable season. Like there's plays to me that like, it just doesn't look like there's a really concerted plan to say, let's get these guys the ball, which to me between Barkley and those two receivers, like I would think like your game plan and to have these guys be weapons that now, once you get comfortable in the rhythm of the game, it's like, boom, I hit you, I go here. And it just, they don't have that right now. And, one of the best ways to get that is in a big game, prime time, to go out there and play a game where it gives everybody confidence going forward.
There you go. That was Devin McCourty with me earlier in the week on the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll take a break. When we come on back, Ryan Horvat from BetMGM Tonight will join us. We'll try to make you some money.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay. 'Cause the $1 Million Man always gets his way.
Welcome back to Sunday Morning Football with Zach Gelb.
If there's ever been a year in the sport of football to illustrate that this is truly a week-to-week league, and I'm talking in NFL and college, it's this year. Last week, the Miami Dolphins stunned. And I mean stunned the Buffalo Bills. They dominated them 30-13. Now, this game is being played in Madrid. It's the Commanders and the Dolphins. The Commanders with Marcus Mariota in at quarterback, who the commissioner, when he got drafted by the Tennessee Titans, called him Marcus Mariotto. They are defeating the Dolphins 13-6 with 6:06 left in the third quarter. This game could be played in my backyard, and I wouldn't watch it. I would roll the curtains down and say, I'm good. I'll do a football load management day, or I'll just wait till 1 p.m. Eastern time when hopefully the real football starts so we actually have a good football Sunday. Ryan Horvat does a great job, BetMGM tonight. We hit our anytime touchdown parlay last week. Ryan won some money. I won some money. Hopefully you won some money as well. Always, please gamble responsibly. Ryan Horvat from BetMGM tonight joins us right now. Ryan, good football Sunday to you. How are you?
Great football Sunday. Really excited for the slate, man. We've had some rough weeks, but we should have some good games today. We're coming off a great Week 10. Like you said, we hit our anytime touchdown parlay, so I'm feeling pretty good for Week 11.
All righty, let's get it going with Week 11. Panthers and the Falcons. Atlanta is a 4-point favorite. They're at home. The last time these two teams played, the Panthers dominated the Falcons. I think they won the football game like 30-0. Over-under is 41.5. What say you on the Panthers and Falcons in this NFC South showdown?
Man, you never know what you're going to get with either of these teams. So I was tempted to bet Atlanta. If I were to bet the game, it would be Atlanta or pass. Instead, I just stayed away. I did throw Bijan Robinson into a anytime touchdown parlay. I also like Kyle Pitts over 18.5 on the longest reception, just because Carolina really struggles outside the top 20 in pretty much every statistical category against opposing tight ends. So I like Kyle Pitts a little bit today on the longest reception. I really like Bijan Robinson to get in the end zone. I took a stab with Tyler Algier to score the first touchdown because he's getting a ton of the goal line opportunities, and Carolina's run defense really still struggles. Atlanta at home, they really need this one, man. It would be them or pass. But I could see Carolina winning this game by a touchdown. These two teams, I have no idea who, like, either of their identities yet.
Mike Evans hurt, Chris Godwin hurt, Bucky Irving hurt, Keon Coleman is a healthy and active. Buccaneers and Bills. Bucks 6-3 going to Orchard Park. Bills are 6-3. Bills just got dominated by the Dolphins last week. Buffalo is a 6.5-point favorite. Buccaneers coming off that L to the Patriots.
Yeah, I like Buffalo in this game, right? I mean, I think that there's a reason why the number went from 5.5 to 6 here. I know the injury report is rough here. The Keon Coleman stuff is baffling to me, right? Because Buffalo, all they really have right now are slot guys. And I thought that Keon Coleman, by default would be wide receiver number 1 this year, or at least the outside guy. So I took him over 4.5 touchdowns season long. It's just wild with what's going on there. But I do like the Bills to bounce back, man. I still really like them in the AFC. So I laid it. If Tampa were at home, I'd probably consider the points here. But I'm just worried about that injury report. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's regressed or anything like that, but we remember the start that he had to the year where he was in the MVP conversations. That's kind of died down a little bit, and I think a lot of that has to do just with the injuries in the skill positions and on the offensive line. So I like Buffalo here. I played them a couple minutes ago, actually.
All righty, let's get to the Texans and Titans. This is a Houston spread that is in favor of them by 5.5 points.
Oh, man, as gross as it is, they're on my list of teams I'm not allowed to bet anymore. I think we talked about this last week, man. I bet them like every week last week, or last season with Will Levis. I don't know that I could lay that number. Now, I do like the Texans. I think that they win this game, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to win this game by margin without C.J. Stroud. I like their pass rush, especially going against a young quarterback. There's probably going to be some mistakes today from Cam Ward, but 5.5, 6 in some spots. I kind of like Tennessee to cover the number today.
Let's go to Chicago. Well, it's actually Minnesota, but it's the Bears going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Chicago 6-3. Minnesota is 4-5. Minnesota, this line's been all over the place this week, but I now see it as Minnesota as a 2.5-point favorite. Over-under is 48.5. I opened up the segment by saying it's a week-to-week league. I would lean Minnesota in this one, as the Bears won their last 2. They had to come on back up against the Giants, the craziness with the Bengals, and then with the Vikings. They've been so inconsistent this year. They lost last week to the Ravens, so I'm just going to take a stab at it and say that they're going to win this week up against the Bears.
Yeah, that's how I feel, too. I like the spot for Minnesota. I mean, J.J. McCarthy has looked shaky. There's been some, glimpses of hope, but I trust Minnesota a little bit more in this spot because I think they're going to be able to run the ball today. So I played Aaron Jones props. I grabbed his rushing yards over 50.5. I also really like Aaron Jones over 12.5 on the longest rush, which you could get minus 110, minus 105 actually. I think he's going to have himself a day. I was a big believer in Jordan Mason coming into the year, but I think this is a good spot for Aaron Jones. You look at the career history against Chicago, owns them the same way that Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay when he was with the Packers. So I like Aaron Jones props. I do really like Minnesota in this game. I think they win it by at least a field goal. So if you could get 2.5, it's one of my favorite bets today. That said, I like the Chicago team, man. I know that they're kind of winning in fluky ways. They lead the league in takeaways, but Caleb has looked much better this season. It's because he's under center more. They're using more play action, more pre-snap motion. But they've been kind of like surviving and just getting by every single week with these crazy game-winning drives and wins. I don't think it happens today. Tough spot, tough place to play. Give me Minnesota.
Maybe not to be concerned about today, as the Packers are going up against Jameis Winston and the New York Giants in the swamps of Jersey. The Packers are a 7-point favorite. The over-under is 41.5. But a lot of Packers fans are down on Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. How do you evaluate both of them two for the rest of the way this season?
I like the Giants today. You could get a juice 7.5. You could take 7. I might take a money line stab at 3-1 plus 300. I could see the Giants with Jameis Winston. Maybe this is a narrative because of his tweet. Looking fly. I think Jameis Winston's going to have himself a day. He's probably going to throw 3 touchdowns, 3 picks against this Packers secondary. That's okay. So I got a lot of concerns about Green Bay. The secondary being one of them, especially with the injuries right now to Nate Hobbs. And then on the offensive side of the ball, everybody keeps saying Matt LaFleur doesn't trust Jordan Love, and that might be the case, man. But I don't think Matt LaFleur trusts the offensive line, and neither do I, and nobody should because they're not very good, and now they're all beat up. They lost Elton Jenkins, their best offensive lineman, for the remainder of the season. So Packers right now are a fade. I do think they're going to try to run the ball today. So I would look at Josh Jacobs to finally have himself a Josh Jacobs-type game. He's been a little bit beat up. The offensive line hasn't been very good, but the Giants almost dead last in every rushing category. But I think the Giants are going to keep it close. And as far as the NFC North, like this is why I took a stab on the Bears to win it before the year because I do like Ben Johnson. I like the Dennis Allen hire as a defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach, but he's a solid coordinator. And with the Lions, so something's off there, right? Like they still have all the talent and they should win the division, but Morton's no longer calling the plays. Dan Campbell has to step in to call the plays. So I have some concerns about Green Bay. I still think LaFleur is a solid head coach, man. But, you know, I used to say I worry about his in-game decision-making and the clock management. Usually the scripted stuff was really good. The Packers are outside the top 28 in, like, every category in the first quarter of these games. They're trailing and chasing points every week. It's hard to win in this league doing so. So, I don't know. I would say, though, if they don't at least win a playoff game, probably the quarterback has to go or the coach has to go, and the quarterback's one of the highest paid in the league. So I think LaFleur would be on his way out.
Ravens trending in the right direction. Steelers have been inconsistent. Burrow's practice window has been activated, so it's a 21-day window. We'll see if he returns. Bengals are 3-6. Steelers are 5-4. When we go to Acrisure Stadium, that just saw a Pitt play there yesterday, and Notre Dame smoked them, so I know you like that. Steelers, so that field's going to be a mess today. The Steelers are a 5.5-point favorite. Do you like the Steelers laying the number, or would you take it with the Bengals?
I would only take it with the Bengals here. I've heard a lot of people make the case for the Steelers. The Steelers should win this game, but you guys trust them to win it by 6 points? I do not. I could see them maybe winning this game by a field goal. The Bengals, I think, have the more talented roster. You know, I mean, especially obviously when Burrow comes back. But even right now, man, like I trust Jamar Chase and T. Higgins a lot more than I do any skill position player for Pittsburgh right now. Rodgers is the better quarterback still, but right now he's not even pushing the ball down the field. His ADOT is like 5.2. I mean, that he's all dink and dunk stuff. They have no vertical threat in Pittsburgh. So I think they're going to have to try to run the ball today, which is why I played Jaylen Warren, longest rush, over 14.5. Jaylen Warren, rushing yards, over 75.5, minus 112. Cincinnati's run defense is a huge issue. Lou Anarumo is not the problem, man. That Bengals defense just does not have much talent. So I think Jaylen Warren has himself a day. I think Pittsburgh wins, but I don't trust them to win it by 6. So if I had to bet the side, it would be Bengals to pass.
Chargers, Jaguars. Jaguars, the walking wounded at the wide receiver position. I know that it's West Coast team going to an Eastern time zone. That's always a concern. Chargers got to cover the 3 points today, right?
I hope not. I bet Jacksonville, and I hate myself.
Well, I hope you're wrong because I bet the Chargers.
I probably will be because with Jacksonville, man, I'm having a good year, but that's the team that keeps burning me. I bet them, they lose by 20.
You're a Liam Cohen guy, aren't you?
I am a Liam Cohen guy. I really like him. I loved him at Kentucky. He made everybody believe that Will Levis could be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. That's how good he was that year. I love what he did in Tampa with his running backs. But there's just, like, they cannot get the wide receiver stuff figured out, man. Travis Hunter, done for the year. Brian Thomas can't catch the football.
And hurt too, yeah.
I mean, yeah, so I don't know. I do think that the travel situation matters. But I don't think it matters like it used to because it's not like, I mean, they're taking private jets to these destinations. But I'll take Jacksonville. I feel like if Jacksonville loses this game, their season is going completely downhill. They're going to miss the playoffs. They're going to be brutal. So, I don't know. Big game for them. I'm going to grab the points here.
Ryan Horvat, Seahawks, Rams. Rams 3.5-point favorite. Over-unders 48.5. Does Sam Darnold get a huge victory? Sam Darnold's playing really well. Or is it Sam Darnold that we saw at the end of the season in Minnesota a year ago where he lost to the Lions and then followed it up with a playoff stinker up against these same Rams?
I think Sam Darnold's going to ball out today in a losing effort. I like the Rams. I think the Rams are for real, man. Matthew Stafford, I don't think enough people are talking about what Matthew Stafford is doing.
He should be the MVP of the league. I say this as a Patriot fan and then also someone that loves Jonathan Taylor. I would vote Matthew Stafford as the MVP of the league tomorrow.
For sure. Tom Brady had, in my opinion, the best statistical season any quarter. I mean, he did. He broke every record. Matthew Stafford right now is on pace to have a Tom Brady-like season. And I love the weapons, obviously. Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the league. Devontae Adams, even at 32, the guy doesn't age. He's still one of the best route runners. And then Tyler Higbee, who, by the way, I love his receptions today. If you could still get 2.5, I love Higbee. That's the one area you could attack the Seahawks defense, the middle of the field. I like Kyron Williams, under 13.5, longest rush. I don't think he's going to have a 14-yard carry today, man. The Seattle run defense is for real, top 5. I think this is going to be a good game. I think, if you grab the Rams at 3, you could get a push because I think it's a field goal game. But I just think the Rams are the team to beat in the NFC. I do think the Seahawks are really good. And I think Sam Darnold is for real, especially with JSN, man. The guy creates separation. He's a top 3 receiver. They got a pretty solid run game. The defense, though, is so dang good. I'll take the Rams in a close one, but I really like those props. And then my favorite prop of the day, it's went up a little bit, man, but I grabbed Cooper Kupp, 29.5 receiving yards. I think it's 35.5 now. I think he finishes with at least 50. We get the Cooper Kupp revenge game today, so I love his props.
49ers and Cardinals. The Niners, even though Mac Jones has been filling in and doing a pretty good job, Brock Purdy is now back. Do you think that's a mistake? Niners are a 3.5-point favorite out in the desert up against the Cardinals.
All right, here's my prediction for this one, man. Purdy's going to stink up the joint today, and it's going to be a huge overreaction. I think like 2 or 3 picks. Even though Arizona's defense is not to be trusted, I like Arizona in this game because of how you started off the segment, man. It's a week-to-week league. Who would want to bet Arizona after last week? They were out of that game 3 minutes in. I swear to God, it was like 6 minutes into the game. They were down somehow 28-0. It was like a game of Madden, man. It was like a college football game.
And after beating the Cowboys the week before, too, it actually got him back in some people's good graces, too.
I would make this game closer to pick, as crazy as that sounds. San Francisco's beat up, and I bet the Niners to win the NFC. And I think they would have had a shot, man, with that schedule and with that roster. The problem is you lose Nick Bosa, and now you have no pass rush. They're almost dead last getting after the quarterback. You lose Fred Warner. Now you lose one of the best linebackers. The offense has been beat up. And the funny thing is everybody was worried about McCaffrey. He's been the one healthy piece. He's individually carrying this team, him and Shanny. Shanny's done a great job this year, but I like this spot for Arizona. Season on the line. I think they win this game outright.
Quickly, 30 seconds are left because I got to get to 2 more big games with you. But let's spend 30 seconds. Ravens and Browns. Baltimore 7.5-point favorite over under 37.5.
I'll be really quick, man. I would only take the dog here. A lot of points in the divisional game, but this is one of my favorite props. Dylan Gabriel, it's probably, 27.5. Longest pass under. It's going to be windy. I live out here. The Ravens defense has actually been a lot better here the last 3 weeks. Dylan Gabriel is not completing a 28-yard pass. I promise you that. So under on his longest completion. And if I had to take the game, though, I would take the points with the Browns. Still a really good D.
All righty. Chiefs and Broncos, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. Huge spot. Kansas City's 5-4. Broncos are 8-2. I know the Broncos offense hasn't been humming, but if they get a win today, they go to 9-2, and it seems like the Chiefs then will not win the AFC West this season. Kansas City, though, on the road at Mile High, 4.5-point favorites.
I'll be with the regular. I don't know, man. I don't know who the public side here is. Not that I care, but I have to bet against the Broncos because I'm not a believer in Bo Nix. He cannot push the ball down the field. It's all dink and dunk. And I'm not the biggest Sean Payton guy. And I love the Chiefs, man. I love Andy Reid. I love Spags. And I'm a Mahomes guy. So I am going to lay it here with Kansas City. I think the Chiefs at least get to the AFC Championship game. And I think they go on a little run starting today. I know the number screams, take the points with the Broncos. They have the better defense. But the Chiefs' defense the last couple of weeks has been damn good. I like this spot for Kansas City. I think they could win this game by 7 to 10 points. I think they got to have a statement win today.
I have zero clue the Sunday night game will go tonight. Lions and Eagles. Philadelphia's a 2.5-point favorite over under 46.5 points.
Oh, this is one of my favorite ones, man. I like Philly because the narrative is they're broken. We've all read the Rossini reports and the Athletic stuff. A.J. Brown scoring a touchdown tonight, plus 145 is the price you could get on that. And I still, as good as he's looked the last 5 years, do not trust Jared Goff on the road, outdoor game against a team that could stop the run. Eagles not even giving up 4 yards per carry with Carter out on the field. So if you could shut down Gibbs and Montgomery in that rushing attack, that's going to force Jared Goff into known passing down. If they get pressure on Goff, I think he throws a pick or two. I like Philly to shut everybody up and win this game tonight, and I love A.J. Brown to score.
All righty. Anytime touchdown parlay this week, I have Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley going chalk with all the running backs. It's at plus 498. I know we cooked up a good one last week. I put a few shekels down on Dawson Knox, plus 380 with Kincaid out, and also with Keon Coleman not going to play. What do you like this week, anytime touchdown-wise, before we let you on out of here?
All right. I feel good about this one. Now, it's not as juicy as last week, man, but I do like this one. Let's go Josh Jacobs. Let's go Bijan Robinson. And let's go A.J. Brown. You put those three together, and you are going to get a plus 532 price. So just three for me. Jacobs, Robinson, A.J. Brown tonight.
He is Ryan Horvath from BetMGM tonight. Ryan, we appreciate it as always. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Zach. Enjoy the games today, man. We got a good one.
You got it. All righty, 3 huge games today. Lions and Eagles, Chiefs and Broncos, and then also Seahawks and Rams. We'll touch on it when we do return. Also, we can maybe go 4 with you. Why not? Let's not discriminate against good football. We will also take a look at the Buccaneers and Bills, too. Coming on back, update time first. Here is Tony Pierno.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, the Commanders looking to snap a 5-game losing streak today in Spain, and right now they lead the Dolphins 13-6. And the third quarter has just come to an end as we have hit triple zeros. Marcus Mariota with a 20-yard touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel to put Washington in front. Mariota was evaluated in the blue tent for a concussion, but it appears he will remain in the game as he was warming up on the sideline. And right now, they just have completed the third quarter, and once again, the Commanders with a 13-6 lead. In other news, Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman will be a healthy scratch for today's game against the Buccaneers after missing a team meeting on Friday. A high-stakes affair last night in Athens as number 10 Texas battled 5th-ranked Georgia.
Play fake. Gunner going to keep it, roll to the right. Now throw to the end zone. Lucky wide open. Touchdown to the tight end. Lawson Lucky on the right side of the end zone. And there's that touchdown to tack on 6 more.
Gunnar Stockton threw 4 touchdown passes and ran for another as Georgia defeated Texas 35-10. Scott Howard had the call from Learfield. Kirby Smart likes what he saw from his quarterback.
I thought Gunnar, resiliency, he bounced back from the pick, and that's going to happen. He played really well, and Mike continues to put things, and the offensive staff put things on his plate. He handles them.
Elsewhere, Ohio State cruised past UCLA 48-10. Indiana topped Wisconsin 31-7, while Texas A&M beat South Carolina 31-30. Oklahoma took down Alabama 23-21. Ole Miss knocked off Florida 34-24. Texas Tech upended UCF 48-9. Notre Dame erased Pitt 37-15. USC rallied to defeat Iowa 26-21, and Virginia handled Duke 34-17. NBA, the Nuggets won their 7th straight as they topped the Wolves 123-112. It was the Lakers over the Bucks 119-95. The Thunder beat the Hornets 109-96. And the Cavaliers down the Grizzlies 108-100. Men's college hoops, Louisville pounded Ohio 106-81, and St. John struck down William & Mary 93-60. I'm Tony Pierno.
Hey, sports fans. Andrew Perloff here on the Infinity Sports Network. Check us out 24/7 on your smart speaker. Just say, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
From the biggest plays the day before in college football to getting you ready for all the mayhem that comes your way every NFL Sunday. You're listening to Sunday Morning Football with Zach Gelb.
All righty, going into the fourth quarter between the Commanders and the Dolphins. It is now 13-all. We are in the fourth quarter with 12:36 to go. If you still do care about this one, this game is in Madrid. You know, imagine you've never been to a football game before, like American football, not football, as they would say in Madrid. And this is the game you're watching, Dolphins and Commanders. I wonder what someone in Madrid is thinking about this one when you're watching Marcus Mariota, Dan Quinn, Mike McDaniel, and Tua Tagovailoa. So it's a close game. I say this all the time. Just because you have a close game doesn't mean it's a good game. Is anyone actually enjoying the Commanders and the Dolphins? Like, it's tough for me to communicate during the show always with Nico and Ray, but I could see them. And I have not talked to you about this game, either of you guys, during the show. You both, though, just from my view, where I see you guys, on the other side of the glass, you keep on looking at one another and you keep on having these conversations. I'm going to assume, and what happens when you assume? You may make an ass out of you and me, so I'm wrong on this one, I'm wrong on this one. But I'm going to assume that both of you were just disgusted with this game because it doesn't look like they are heated conversations, but we're New Yorkers, right? We talk with our hands, we go nuts. And it looks as if both of you are not thrilled with what you're watching to the monitors to your left. Is that an accurate statement?
It
Extremely
is, yes.
accurate.
Because Nico, he's like smiling, he's looking, and he's laughing. Ray, like you actually look disgusted over this game.
Yeah. Nico's been listening to me rant since the second quarter about how bad this game is. Yeah. He's a good guy for that.
Yeah. All righty, real quickly, 4 games today that I'm just really curious how they're going to play on out. Tampa Bay at Buffalo. The Patriots are 9-2. If the Bills want to win the division, I know they still play the Pats again. They got to win today. They fall to 6-4. I don't think they're going to end up winning that division. But Tampa Bay, they are the walking wounded right now. So Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen. Baker still has some weapons. Josh Allen just has James Cook. Keon Coleman's going to be healthy and active today, so I don't know what the heck's going on there. He's been disappointing. Him and Kincaid, I know Kincaid's out with the injury. But Buffalo today, it feels like they need this one. Where Tampa, even though the NFC is really good, but you don't really trust anyone else in the NFC South, that even if Tampa does lose back-to-back games and they fall to the Patriots and the Bills, that they'll be okay sitting there at 6-4. I can't wait for the 4 o'clock window, then leading into Sunday Night Football tonight. You take a glance at Seahawks and Rams. The Rams, I liked them to go to the Super Bowl last year. I picked them to win the Super Bowl before the season started. Their defense is unbelievable with Fisk and Verse and Turner and Young and all the players that they do have. Offensively, you got Puka, you got Devontae Adams, you got Kyron Williams, you got Matthew Stafford at 37, leading the league in passing touchdowns. The guy I'm looking forward to watching today, though, is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has impressed me. Sam Darnold last 2 years has been a good quarterback. But in Minnesota, it came to a crashing end, losing to the Lions. You lose the division, even with, 14 or 15 wins last year, whatever the Vikings had. And then you had a no-show up against the Rams in the playoff game. We saw the Seahawks and the Bucs have a really good close game if you go back to earlier in the season. And Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were going back and forth, mano-a-mano. But then with the game on the line, Sam Darnold had an interception finding Levante David. So I'm curious what we see out of Sam Darnold today. Chiefs and Broncos. The Chiefs could miss the playoffs. I don't think they will. I don't, to be clear. They're 5-4. I think they'll find a way to get in. But if they're going to want to win this division, they got to win today up against the Broncos. Because if they lose today, and let's just assume, right, the Chargers beat the Jaguars, that would put the Broncos at 9-2, put the Chargers at 8-3, and then the Chiefs would be at 5-5 in what is a crowded AFC. So this is a huge game today. I actually think this game is more important for the Chiefs and the Broncos. I don't trust Bo Nix, so I think the Chiefs are going to get it done, but it's always tough to go play at Mile High. And then finally, Lions and Eagles. Goff, that's the question. What are you going to get out of Jared Goff? I'd go a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs today. And then also, is A.J. Brown going to get that end zone? Are the Eagles going to win? Is A.J. Brown going to be happy even if they win? Like, what's going to happen with A.J. Brown? I think we are all watching that as obviously A.J. Brown had a little meeting with Big Dom and Jeffrey Lurie. You know, it kind of feels like in The Sopranos where you got Tony Soprano and you got, oh, man, why can't I remember the other character's name? I'm blanking here. But anyway, when they had Big Putty Cat, let's just say, I have to clean it up for the radio, and they bring him on the boat. And then they, Paulie Walnuts, they bring him on and they, pour me a drink, just tone not in the face. That's what it kind of seems like when you get Big Dom and you get Jeffrey Lurie and A.J. Brown having a meeting. Someone's going to get whacked there. All righty, Nico, Ray, thank you very much. AP on the update. Sunday Morning Football with Anthony Gallo coming up next. Big thanks to each and every one of you. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the Infinity Sports Network at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time for the Zach Gelb Show. Enjoy the football, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.